views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Straight ahead on this edition of Perspectives, we go front and center with the issue of the coronavirus and how it affects New York City. Coming up, we will talk to Bronx Council member Fernando Cabrera. He'll be sharing with us how he has personally been impacted by the coronavirus and what the Bronx can do in this season. That's straight ahead on this edition of Perspectives with yours truly, Daren Jaime.
What's on your mind?
Let 'em know.
What's on your mind? What's on your mind?
Let 'em know. Anything relevant to life, you bring it to the table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable. No fables, you speak on your decisions. Cause in the long run, it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't forget to share your perspective with shines of light. Cause it might make a difference in someone else's life.
Make a difference.
What's your perspective?
Express what's in your heart and your mind. Share your perspective.
What's your perspective?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Perspectives. I am Daren Jaime, and of course, we want to thank you for watching. And during these trying times, we are still doing our best to trying to bring you the best news, the best information, and the best show possible. And so while we're not able to gather physically in the studio, what we are able to do is able to bring you news virtually. The coronavirus has had a tremendous effect on not just New York City, but the nation, and not just the nation, but the world. Coming up front and center, we're going to talk to somebody very personally impacted on a variety of different levels by the coronavirus. We're talking about Bronx Council member Fernando Cabrera. In addition to him being a council member, he's also a pastor, and not just a pastor, but a community leader. And so straight ahead right now, we're talking with him as he has gotten a personal glimpse of how the coronavirus has affected people. His son-in-law has been affected. Pastors and visitors to his church have been affected. And so it's a great privilege and honor on this edition of Perspectives to share with none other than Councilmember Fernando Cabrera. And Councilmember, first of all, thank you for taking the time. It's a time when you can be personally with your family, but certainly you're spending it here with us on Perspectives, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you. This is an issue that is impacting so many of us at so many levels. So it's an honor to be with you, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, and our prayers are definitely with you and your family in this time. It's a very trying time. But give us an update, first of all, because how did this go down? Was it your son that you found out first? And because there's a whole trail of people who are actually connected to you.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of weeks ago, my son started to get the symptoms on a Sunday evening. He had been in a gathering the day before with some family members and some church leaders. And I was away at the Somos conference, so I was not around them. But I noticed him in Sunday morning from afar. I saw him that he looked like something. He was battling Sunday. Sunday night started hitting him. Monday morning, he was rushed in and he was tested. And then during that time, he was one of the early cases. He didn't get noticed until that Friday, but we knew he had it. I mean, he had all the symptoms. He knocked them off. He had the fever. He was very, very tired. The whole throat experience. And then other members of the church. And then my son-in-law ended up having it. And then other pastors and then other members. We're a very close church. And so it started to have a contagion kind of effect in our church. But now we have some that have recuperated. Thank God my son is 100% recuperated, but he's still quarantined. Same thing with my son-in-law. But we have new members that are getting in. And I have to tell you, the ones that get hit the hardest and they feel it the most are men. And the data is supporting that, 70% of them. I have one of them who's been having for 8 days, and he's totally knocked out. and he was taken to the hospital. But he was actually, they didn't even test him. They already knew they have it. And I just want to let everybody know, because everybody's like asking, well, why are there not more testing? The reality is that the samples are clear. People are just saying, the medical field are just saying, if you had the symptoms, we're assuming that you have it. They're only keeping the most critical cases in the hospital because we only have so many beds. And right now, the hospitals are full.
Right.
Columbia Presbyterian, for example, their floor is already full. They had to open another floor. And I could go on and on with all the hospitals, Montefiore and so forth. And so the time of containment via testing is over. We're past that. Now is, if you have the signs, go home, recuperate.
Right. But talk to us about testing in the Bronx, because New York City is definitely suffering. The governor's been on talking about we're trying to get more tests out there. We know New Rochelle is the epicenter, and there's a variety of tests that have gone on, but there's the shortage going on. So what's going to happen here in the borough in regards to testing and Bronx testing centers?
So as of today, we had 1,600 confirmed, but I have to tell you, 90% of the people who are going in are not getting tested. There were not enough tests at the beginning, and there's not enough tests to go around right now. We will ill prepare in the United States of America. Let me say that again. We will ill prepare. We saw it happen in China. We saw it happening in Italy. We didn't have enough testing kits. Even now, in some of the urgent care, they only have 2 testing kits per urgent care, and they're only reserving it for those who can't breathe and they are in critical situations. Those are the only ones that are getting it right now. So I want people to know, especially young people, which, by the way, their numbers are skyrocketing among young people, that just because you see those numbers, that's not the real numbers. The reality is that it's exponentially much, much higher, and is growing literally by the day.
And you have to talk about being asymptomatic, right? I think we got the first glimpse of what the coronavirus was when we watched NBA star Donovan Mitchell, and he shared on the Today Show, and he looked good. I mean, I think he was on one of the networks. He looked good. He sounded good. And so it almost gives this false security, correct me if I'm wrong, of that if you get it and you're a little bit younger, you're going to be okay. But we know that's not true.
I have to tell you, I have a friend of mine who died yesterday, Larry Rasky. He's actually the strategist behind Vice President Biden's, I call it win at this point. He passed away yesterday. I mean, let me tell you, there are some people who are asymptomatic. There are people, I have one member in my church, she lost all sense of taste and smell. And that's about it for her. Some people are lucky enough to go through this, but you don't know if you're going to be it. I mean, we have young people that have died right here in the Bronx and throughout the city. And so you could be it. I don't want to, I'm bunkered down. I'm home. I'm not playing with this. Me and my wife are here, and we're doing a lot of work. We're very, very busy. And this is the thing I would tell people. And I think this is what people are struggling with. Their rhythm has been effective. Right. If I could help people with how to deal with this, you got to establish a new rhythm at home, new rituals that you can literally schedule yourself every day as to what you're going to do next and stay productive. And you could do that at home. I think people are losing purpose. They're losing productivity. And there's like, I can't be here anymore. I got to go outside. But this is so contagious that if someone has it and touch a table, 2 days later, somebody touches that table, they're still going to get it.
Right. I want to take a quick break and come back with more with Councilmember Fernando Cabrera, who's sharing really the in-depth behind the scenes of families being affected, personally affected by coronavirus here on Perspective. Stay with us. We're coming right back right after this. here to Perspectives. Daren Jaime here with you, bringing you this very special edition talking about the coronavirus, bringing you Councilmember Fernando Cabrera. And he wears a variety of different hats. Not only is he a council member, he's also a pastor. And his son-in-law, pastors, members, even visitors of his church have been affected and infected by the coronavirus. And as we said a little earlier, his son on the road to recovery, son-in-law on the road to recovery, family member on the road to recovery. And as we said, Councilmember Cabrera, thank you so much for sharing with us. And we continue to keep your family in our prayers. I want to switch hats for a moment. And I want to talk about from the church perspective. You and I were also on a conference call just the other day with the Attorney General, Tish James, and talking about houses of worship and how they've played a role. How's the coronavirus actually affected your house of worship? And then also, can we get a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit later about Bronx houses of worship and how they're still being able to meet the needs of people?
Well, the state right now has not mandated, and possibly because they cannot, because the separation of church and state are closed down. But I would tell every pastor listening right now, from someone who was directly impacted, not to have church service. Church as usual is over for the next 2 months. I want to encourage you to go virtual. That's what we did. We have virtual church. We have virtual small groups. They meet and just like we are right now, Google Hangouts, phone calls, and they meet together in that way. And you could be as effective. We have church service online on Sundays. And we are able, what we did is we had all the leaders and mature Christians follow up, because we have a fairly large church. Our first round, we follow up 500 people. We're doing another 500 people this week. And we'll continue until we reach everyone to make sure everyone is okay. We're networking to find out who has lost their job. How can we help them find a job collectively, all of us together? There are some job openings, like Home Depot is a good example. Right now, Domino's is looking for 10,000 drivers. I mean, I could go on and on. There's opportunity out there for those who have been hit with this economic impact that we're suffering right now. But the churches right now, let me tell you what they provide the most. It's a voice of hope. And there are a lot of people with anxiety. There are people that I've spoken to suicidal. I've spoken to people who are right now in a virtual feeling that they're going to have a nervous breakdown. What I encourage people to do, and look, my doctorate is in counseling, so this is my area that I love to talk about, is to live the moment. Live right now. Don't worry about tomorrow, next week, or the month after. It's not guaranteed to anybody then, and it's not going to help. Just say no to anxiety. Live the moment. Enjoy the moments that you have right now. That you could be like with your family. That book you always wanted to write. A song, that poem that you have inside of you. Be creative. Be innovative. Find ways. Go online. There are things people can make literally. They could start a new business really online. So there's a lot of opportunities that people need to take advantage of instead of being consumed by
home and board.
The big what if,
Right.
And so,
and you have a lot of people, and they're saying, "Listen, I'm home, I'm bored," but there's a lot that you can do in terms of reinventing yourself, staying focused. I think that people think that life is different, but there's some things that you can do just in a different kind of way. But I want to also talk about resources for a second, because that's very important. And for people who may lack the necessary resources in your district, there may be some people who suffer with no Wi-Fi. There may be people who may have some food challenges. What are we doing, and what are you doing in your area in terms of dealing with some of the challenges that you have in your district and the resources that are available?
So the administration, what they did was to take Commissioner Catherine Garcia. She has been in charge now. She's the sanitation commissioner. She's a great CEO. She has been moved to be able to handle the food crisis that we're having right now. One of the problems that we're having, a lot of pastors are sharing, that in the food pantries, they're not getting their supplies. And so I'm in communication with the administration, identifying which ones, getting the communication going as to when are they going to get it, the supplies, because basically a lot of this food pantry has run out of supplies. But I want to tell the people they're coming, and they're going to this week. They're all going to be reloaded. In terms of seniors and students, of course, students right now are taking classes online. If you are lacking a laptop or internet access, call 311. They'll guide you. 311 are set up right now really to be the place where you get information. Call 311. It might take a little long, but go ahead and connect with them so they could guide you as to where to go. Senior centers could get food, and children could get food. Children could get food, lunchbox, indoor schools, breakfast and lunch, and same thing for seniors.
All right, taking a quick break with Councilmember Fernando Cabrera. We'll be back right here on Perspectives. Don't go away. Coming back in a few.
For you.
BronxNet TV.
Come learn in your new state-of-the-art studios at Lehman College.
At Mercy College.
And coming soon to the South Bronx in the Hub.
Inspire with your stories, culture, history.
Your Bronx on BronxNet.
Engage with us.
Connect with us at your channels and at bronxnet.tv.
Learn, engage, inspire. BronxNet TV.
From the Bronx
to the world.
BronxNet.
Welcome back. We're talking with Councilmember Fernando Cabrera here on Perspectives, talking about the coronavirus and how it's actually affecting Bronxites, houses of worship, and just plainly everybody. Everybody's been affected in a way that has made some of us uncomfortable. But unfortunately, there's some help out there. There's some resources out there that can help people to get back on track. Councilmember Cabrera, one target group that I didn't talk to you about in your area is seniors. So give me a little bit about seniors in your area. How are you working to take care of what's known as the most vulnerable population?
Thank you so much. I would encourage, first of all, every senior that is listening right now, because they are the most vulnerable population. For those who are 80 years old and above, 15% of them who get corona end up, a fatality of coronavirus. So please, for all the seniors, stay home. We have Meals on Wheels that are delivering food. So if you're lacking that service, please contact 311. They'll make sure that you have meals delivered to you. There's also, as I mentioned just a little early in the last segment, we have in senior centers, they have lunch boxes readily available for them. network with your church, network with your friends, network with your grandchildren. They could go and if they have to do groceries, they could literally leave it outside if they don't live with you, and then bring it in. But the city is mobilizing. The city is working very hard to make sure. But there's nothing like social distancing. I mean, that's the biggest safeguards for seniors right now. We don't have those masks readily available for people right now. Even healthcare workers are struggling. Being contacted by different companies, getting connected with the city so they could get more masks. But any resources that they're lacking, they should be calling 311. By the way,
And Bron-
Darren, I was going to say all of the council members' offices right now will be mandated to be closed. However, please go to your council members' website and the city council website. You'll find your council member there, and they have all the emails. Every staff is on right now. We're all working. So we're all working from home, and we're making things happen.
And when you talk about making things happen, give me your thoughts about the governor and his handling of this epidemic. He seems to have really moving himself from not just being the governor of the state, but many people have said he's acting quite presidential in this.
He surely is. I tell you, I have dealt in just about every crisis since 9/11. I was there helping in 9/11. A couple of days after 9/11, but I was right there in ground zero, Haiti, after the earthquake, 250,000 people died. I could go on and on with all of the critical incidents I've been to. And I have to tell you, I've never seen an elected official step up like he has and provide that CEO leadership that we need at this moment. He's been on point. He's been anticipating every move. He's calculated. He's firm. At the same time, the way he's handling even the media, he's providing all the information they need. I mean, has been par excellence, a 5-star governor. I tell you, out of all the governors, I have to tell you, including the president, that he has really excelled amongst all of them.
And talk to us about the mayor. Obviously, he's under some criticism too about not getting people off the street as fast. Then that also contributes with the spread. Understanding the density of New York City, it is a big task to try to get New Yorkers off the streets, given the fact you're talking about millions of people. But your assessment of the mayor and what can we be doing differently, possibly?
So I think that question that you just asked, do it differently. Right now, the governor has given the city 24 hours to come up with a plan regarding open spaces. By the end of today, there will be a plan in place. As a matter of fact, we're going to be having a meeting, a phone conference where all the council members, ideas are being collected. Because the question is, what do you do with all the people that go to the park? You know, they're playing basketball. Thank God today it's raining, you know, and it's keeping people away. But the reality is these open spaces are grounds for people to, unfortunately, they think it's there in the open and they cannot catch it. You got to keep away from 6 feet away. I think the mayor's trying his very best. I mean, he's stretched, his staff is stretched, and he's trying his very best. At the end of the day, Darren, if I could be so honest, we have to take responsibility as citizens of this city. We love New York City because it's dense, but it is our Achilles heel because of the close proximity that we have towards one another. We have to stay home. I tell you, unless you're going to go get some food, and when you go shopping, do shopping for 2 weeks. You don't have to hoard. The supermarkets are not ever going to close down. The banks are not closing down. Pharmacies are never going to close down. Even in Italy, where they're at, they're not closing down. So, but we have to take responsibility. Otherwise, I want to tell you, you don't want to get this. Right. You don't want to get it because the people who I know that got it and they got it hit hard, it's just devastating.
Yeah. And we got about 1 minute left, but I'll give you a chance to really just speak to people who are watching and people who are dealing with this and feeling the anxiety. Put your pastor hat on for a minute and just give the opportunity to say a word to people.
Thank you so much, Daren. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I would say to the people, this too shall pass. We are going to make it. We are resilient people in New York City and the boogie down Bronx. We know how to make it through tough times. This is not the first time we've been through some tough time. I would say to you that reach out to people, think about others. The two questions you'll be asking yourself: what's the most loving thing to do, and what's the wisest thing to do? And when you answer those questions, you'll know exactly what to do on a daily basis.
All right, Councilmember Fernando Cabrera, thank you so much for taking the time to sharing with us. As we said, if you're just joining us, or you just took the time to get in on this last segment, his son-in-law, pastoral staff, members of his church have all been infected with the coronavirus. Glad to report all are recovering and doing well. Our prayers continue to go out to you, council member, and thank you so much again for sharing with us.
Thank you.
All righty. Council member Fernando Cabrera, and that about wraps it up for this edition of Perspectives. I am Daren Jaime saying, listen, to everybody, I know it's a little bit different out there, and I know that it's not what we're used to, but it's only for a season. And so in this season, let's try to manage it as best as we can. We're going to still bring you news, information, and content that hopefully will be able to help you during these trying times. Thank you for watching Perspectives. Thank you for staying with us. And listen, until next time we meet, share your perspective. Yes, virtually. It just might make a difference in somebody else's life. Take care, and God bless.
Runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle it.